Hello people of the internet, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be talking about quite a controversial and complicated topic, and that is why cochlear implants are so controversial. As someone who has one, I thought my insights might be valuable in this conversation, so I thought I would make a video about it. So if you're interested, keep watching. So before we start talking about why these are so controversial, it's important to understand what a cochlear implant actually is. So a cochlear implant is a medical device that provides access to sound for people with profound or severe hearing loss. Unlike a hearing aid, which amplifies sound, cochlear implants bypass the damaged cochlea, which is the part of the ear that most commonly causes permanent hearing loss, and it directly stimulates the auditory nerve with electricity. The device has two parts. It has an external processor that captures and processes sound, and an internal electrode array that is inserted into the cochlea, and a magnet that connects through the skin. While cochlear implants can be really life-changing for a lot of people, they don't restore natural hearing. The sound is often very mechanical and robotic, and outcomes can vary a lot between people, so some people can hear very well with them and some people can't really hear at all. So this is the point where it starts to get complicated, and that's the medical versus the cultural perspective on deafness. So from a medical perspective, cochlear implants can be seen as a tool to fix hearing loss or to improve hearing loss. But within deaf culture, many people view deafness as like an identity trait, and for them, suggesting you should fix or cure hearing loss is how most of us would see someone suggesting like curing being gay or something. Like it's like an intrinsic part of your personality, like your identity. So they can often be even offended at the suggestion that hearing loss needs a treatment at all. For many people, deaf culture, sign language is quite central to their lives, and promoting cochlear implants, they feel, kind of undermines the view of deaf culture and sign language as its own community, and rather just sees it like a medical condition, which is not the way that they see it. And this is the tension that creates so much of the controversy that surrounds cochlear implants. Another controversial issue with cochlear implants is that of informed choice and consent. So, especially when it comes to children, cochlear implants are often implanted in babies and young children who can't really consent to the procedure. There are reasons for this. The reason to implant early is that they get better outcomes from the cochlear implants, basically. Their speech recognition tends to be higher, and their speech tends to be clearer and closer to a typical hearing person than if they weren't implanted. So that's why they implant early. However, other people think it's kind of in a similar category to if you were to perform plastic surgery on a child. And they argue that it's better to wait until the child is old enough to decide for themselves, because they don't see cochlear implants as a necessary medical procedure, but rather as something more cosmetic and unnecessary that maybe should be saved for later. Another issue with cochlear implants is their limitations. So they do provide benefits, however, they're not perfect. So what they can do is they provide access to sound and improve speech understanding for profoundly deaf people. What they can't do is they can't restore natural hearing or guarantee any success. They don't work in very noisy environments. It overwhelms the processor and you can't hear anything, basically. And they tend to not really work that well on music or more complicated sounds. And they also cannot replace the cultural value of sign language in deaf culture. So there's no kind of cochlear implant culture so much. So that's the limitations basically of cochlear implants. So my personal perspective, is that I am late-deafened. So I was born with hearing and lost my hearing as an adult. So I decided to get a cochlear implant to regain the access to my previous way of interacting with the world. So I kind of am in the situation where I know what it's like to hear. So there was never kind of any identity issues with the idea of me getting a cochlear implant, because being deaf has never been like a central part of my personality, because it happened later in my life when my personality was already kind of formed. However, I have, since losing my hearing and getting a cochlear implant, I have learned British Sign Language, and I really, really appreciate sign language for everything it's given me. And I am kind of somewhat involved in deaf culture, not as much as a lot of other people, but I really do see the value of that. And I do think there is a middle ground where it's possible to embrace the technology, but also maintain sign language and the cultural aspect of deafness as well. Yeah. So, final thoughts, closing remarks, is that cochlear implants, they are controversial because they touch on issues of identity, culture, and the medicalisation of deafness. So ultimately, I believe that the decision to get one is very personal and depends on your individual needs and goals, and that I hope that we can be very respectful about other people's decisions, and decisions that parents make for their children as well. I have seen people be quite unkind to parents who've chosen cochlear implants for their children, and I think we may not agree with everyone's decisions. However, I think it is important to try and respect that and understand that people are trying to do the best for themselves and their families, even if it's not necessarily the same thing that we would do. So if you found this video helpful or thought-provoking, please like or comment or subscribe and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd really like to hear your perspective, and thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!